They said the Glock 19 would never be replaced. Untouchable, the king of carry. But 2025 had other plans. Counters are clearing, shelves are shifting, and pistols nobody thought stood a chance are now the ones walking out the door. I've seen it myself. Guys skipping right over the 19, eyes locked on something slimmer, tougher, or just plain meaner. The legend ain't dead, but it sure as hell ain't alone anymore. This isn't the list you expect. These are the 9mm that shoved their way into the spotlight. Some mocked, some ignored, until they outsold the so-called king. And the one that took the top, that pistol flipped the whole script. Stick with me, you won't see it coming. You can hate on Ruger all you want, but the Max 9, that one forced its way into the competition. This micro-compact 9mm wasn't supposed to challenge the big boys. It wasn't supposed to show up on the same table as the P365, Hellcat, and G43X, but it did, and not just because of price, it earned it. This thing came out swinging with a factory optics-ready slide before most trusted brands even considered it. It fits 12+1 in a footprint smaller than a Glock 43X, and while Glock fans like to mock budget triggers, the Max 9's flat-faced pull has made plenty of shooters second-guess their carry choice. It's not flashy or even viral, but it certainly works. For those sick of $600+ price tags and excuses, the Max 9 just shows up, does the job, and disappears back into the waistband. That's what a takeover pistol looks like. You can defend your Glock all day, but you can't ignore this. So here it comes. The gun Glock fans don't even want to believe it exists. The Laugo Arms Alien doesn't compete with the Glock 19, it makes fun of it. This isn't an upgrade, this is an evolution laughing in polymer. It comes with a fixed barrel, glass-delayed blowback, and a non-reciprocating top rail. It shoots flatter and runs smoother than a custom SIG with a $1,000 trigger job. It's sci-fi engineering built for the real world, and when you shoot it, you feel it instantly. No recoil issues, minimal muzzle flips, and the follow-ups, surgical. Now let's be real, it costs nearly $5,000, and that's why some folks scream, but my Glock works fine. Yeah, your Glock works fine, but so does a flip phone, doesn't mean that it's cutting edge. The Alien isn't for everyone, to be honest, as it's heavy, expensive, and complicated, but it's better in almost every way that matters, and that's the hard truth. You're buying it because it bends physics and makes your Glock feel like a museum piece. You could pick up 2 Taurus G2Cs for the price of one Glock 19, and some folks did just that. But this isn't just a budget story. It's what happened after the purchase that made Glock fans uneasy. Thousands of rounds later, the G2C just kept running. Feed it dirty ammo? No problem. Drop it? Still works. Holster wear, pocket lint, steel case junk, it eats it all and still keeps barking. The trigger isn't fancy, the grip isn't perfection, and no one's bragging about Taurus finishes, but the damn thing just doesn't stop. For the everyday carrier who doesn't want to baby their gun or spend rent money on a pistol, the G2C became a quiet rebellion. Glock shooters started noticing, range instructors raised eyebrows. It's not that the G2C is better than the Glock 19, it's that it's good enough to question the entire price tag. In 2025, more people are skipping the $600 logo and trusting the little Taurus that refused to quit. And if you think that stings, wait till you see what slipped in next. I'll be honest, I didn't expect to like the P10F. If Glock made a gun this good, they'd charge you $200 more and call it the Pro Duty Elite. The CZ P10F is what happens when a company that actually cares about ergonomics decides to crash the striker-fired party. It's got the low bore axis, the crisp trigger, and the reliability, but here's what sets it apart. it actually fits your damn hand. CZ built this thing to feel like a real gun and not a Tupperware shell with a go button. The grip angle feels natural, the texture locks in, and the trigger, clean break, short reset, and none of that spongy striker garbage some folks pretend to love. You're getting 19+1 capacity, ambi controls, rock solid build, and a slide that eats optics like it was born for them. Now, is it perfect? No. The mag release can be stiff, and it doesn't have the same aftermarket support as Glock or SIG. But here's the thing, it doesn't need to be a clone to be a contender. You don't buy the P10F to flex, you buy it to put rounds on target every single time with zero excuses. Because when it comes to striker fire duty guns, this one punches way above its price tag. This pistol wasn't built to play nice, it was built to pass trials the Glock 19 didn't win. The FN 509 series came out of a brutal military contract competition, so while Glock kept riding the reputation train, FN was down in the mud, proving every inch of its design. The compact MRD version took that same battlefield DNA and shrunk it down into something a concealed carrier can actually rely on. Optics-ready slide, aggressive grip texture, full ambi controls, and a recoil impulse that feels tighter than it should. And guess what? You don't need to send it to a custom shop. You just buy it, carry it, and it runs. People who switched over from Glock often mention one thing: confidence. This pistol feels like it's built to win a fight and not just ride inside a waistband for Instagram. In 2025, when everyone's chasing red dot carry pistols that actually hold up, the 509 Compact MRD doesn't chase trends, it leads them. You ever meet a guy with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove? That's the XDM Elite. Nobody asked Springfield to make this gun, but they did it anyway, and somehow they made a striker-fired plastic pistol feel like a full-on competition blaster. Out of the box, it's got a match-grade barrel, a ridiculously crisp trigger, and a grip texture that grabs your palm like it owes you money. This thing doesn't care if you're running drills or praying in a gunfight, it just runs. And yes, it's wide, bigger than it needs to be, but it balances just like a gun that was meant to be pushed hard. You get high capacity, tuned for speed controls, and if you pick the Elite Precision model, you're holding one of the flattest shooting pistols under $700. Okay, now here's the part that Glock owners don't want to hear. This gun has a better stock trigger, better ergonomics, and better recoil control in this price range. Does that mean it's perfect? No, but then again, what gun is, am I right? But if you can get over the badge on the slide and just shoot the damn thing, you'll realize the XDM Elite doesn't flex, it doesn't need to. It just delivers every single time. Now, why do certain people still pick Glock over the XMacro? Well, let me tell you. It's because they're scared of evolution. They want simple, safe, plug and play, and Glock spoon feeds that comfort with the softness of plastic. The SIG P365 XMacro, it packs full-size performance into a gun that disappears under a t-shirt with capacity, recoil control, and red dot readiness baked right in. And that right there scares half the gun community. Yes, it's small and new in the market, but SIG got it right. And now you've got 17+1 rounds, a compensator that actually works, and a grip module that feels like it was built for speed, not molded for mass production. Meanwhile, Glock updated the 19 by adding front serrations. The XMacro gives you real-world shootability in a carry-sized package, plus a trigger that doesn't feel like it's stapled to a brick. It's lighter, flatter, and way more modern. But the problem is, some folks just aren't ready to leave the Glock comfort zone. Here's the thing, the Glock 19 ruled the last era. The XMacro, it's built to dominate the next one. So either evolve or get left behind, it's your call. Have you ever seen a good cop get a bad gun because someone wanted to save $50 per unit? Yeah, that's the VP9 story in a nutshell. When it launched, it wasn't just hyped, it was respected. Instructors raved about the trigger, patrol officers loved the grip. It felt like HK finally gave the striker-fired crowd something built for real shooters. I knew a deputy out in western Pennsylvania, a real quiet guy with an old-school mindset. He once told me the VP9's the only polymer pistol I ever trusted out of the box. Then, his department dumped it for Gen 4 Glocks. Why? For budget cuts and lazy officer training. They picked cheap and easy over better and smarter, and the gun community just agreed with that. You see, the VP9 shoots like a tuned SIG, but carries like a Glock. The ambi setup? Slick. Paddle mag release? Weird at first, but quick after training. The trigger is so crisp and the recoil is easy, but since it didn't have Glock stamped on the side or a billion-dollar military contract behind it, people treated it like an outlier. And here's the kicker. Some of the same people who trashed it online quietly bought one later. That's right, it won them over. This handgun didn't lose the fight because it jammed, it lost because the loudest voices never gave it a fair chance. And while the internet debated triggers, this gun kept showing up and showing out. I carried this in 2005. It rattled like a diesel truck, but it never choked. You want proof of a design that can last? The Beretta 92FS isn't just another pistol, it's the gun that defined a generation. Military sidearm, police duty weapon, Hollywood icon. If you don't recognize it, you've either never watched an action movie or never been in a real gunfight. Now look, it's big, it's heavy, it's got a DASA trigger that scares off casual shooters like a bad first date. But once you learn it, it's like shooting a damn weapon. That slide, smooth as oil on glass. Its recoil is buttery soft, and that capacity, 15+1 in a full metal frame that feels like it was built for war. And the reliability? I've seen these eat sand, mud, and bad ammo and still spit fire like nothing ever happened. Yeah, striker fans will cry about the weight, optics bros will moan about the slide, and Glock guys, they'll tell you the 19 is lighter, simpler, and easier to run. And you know what? They're right. But only if you want to shoot like a rental. But the 92FS doesn't care about trends. It was built when duty guns had balls, and it still got them. You don't carry this because it's light, you carry it because you know your shot matters. Beretta didn't just make a pistol, they built a legacy. And this steel beast is still standing in the polymer era like a middle finger to mediocrity. I sold mine once, and that was pretty stupid of me. Remember when the Reflex made you flinch at number 10? This one makes Glock fanboys cry and reload slower. The Beretta PX4 Storm compact carry never got the credit it deserved. Most skipped it for weird looking, having a DASA trigger, or not being striker fired. You know this is actually a big mistake, because this gun, it was built for people who actually carry, not just collect. And the real magic is its rotating barrel feature. Kills recoil, feels wrong at first, soft, flat, and too lazy. You get a quick follow-up shot with this gun, less muzzle rise, and more control when your hands are shaking. Take some practice, but it's smooth, predictable, and safer for appendix carry than most striker-fired twitch triggers. And if that's too much for you, maybe stick to something simpler. What else can I say about this gun's ergonomics? They're kind of underrated. Dehorned, low bore axis, and rounded edges. You know Beretta's Langdon tactical upgrade fixed a little stuff. Better trigger bar, deconker only, Ameriglow sights, and turned this thing into a sleeper EDC monster. Now yes, it is clunky, holsters are limited, and it's not pretty enough, but in real-world performance, the PX4 holds its own even against the big names. Most folks sold theirs, but I didn't, because while trends chase tactics, This one earned something better: trust. I used to roll my eyes every time someone said Canik. Cheap, Turkish, overhyped. Then I shot the rival. Forget brand loyalty for a second. If you're judging striker-fired pistols by how they actually run, the Canik Mete SF and SFT are punching way above their weight class. You're looking at one of the best out-of-the-box triggers in its category. Flat-faced, crisp break, tight reset, no upgrades needed. It's the kind of trigger that makes you realize how much you've been settling. The Mete comes optics ready, includes slight serrations that are sharp enough to bite your opponent, and packs in extras like flared magwell, backstraps, and a damn toolkit all in the box. For a Glock, you'll pay double and still need to fix it. Ergonomics are excellent, controls are oversized and intuitive, mag release is spot on, and the grip angle just feels right. The recoil impulse is snappy but manageable. This thing was built to move fast and stay flat. Now sure, it's Turkish made, and that turns some folks off. The finish isn't tank great either, but when it comes to raw value and how this thing shoots, Glock is in trouble. And just when you think the striker crowd has it all figured out, here comes Beretta with a rotating barrel DASA relic that still runs circles around the new kids. So stick around, hit the like button if you're enjoying the video, because this next one's gonna sting you. Have you ever fired a gun that makes you question everything you carry? That's the Kimber KDS9C. I know, half of you are already rolling your eyes. Kimber for a carry? Come on. Yeah, I used to say the same thing until I actually ran one. This gun feels like what happens when a 1911 grows up, hits the gym, and decides it's done living in the safe. Double stack, all metal, sleek, aggressive, built like a damn scalpel. Now I've heard all the hate. Too expensive, too flashy, single action's dangerous, but shoot it once and you'll feel the difference. The trigger is absurd. Crisp, short reset, no fluff. The recoil's soft, accuracy's deadly, and the grip feels molded to your bones. Yes, it isn't perfect. No optic cut unless you pay up, and it's not for rookies. But put it next to a Glock 19, Glock is the hammer, and the KDS9C is the knife. So if you want safe, go plastic. But if you want your carry gun to mean something, hell, the Kimber's right here wearing a tux and itching for a fight. Not a single apology or compromise. I laughed when I saw it, and then it outshot my Hellcat. The effing Reflex doesn't look like much, but this little thing can run. The effing ain't some new kid on the block either. These folks build scars, belt feds, and guns that run in real-world chaos. But the Reflex, this is their first real swing at the CCW market, and they didn't bunt, they brought the damn bat. I let a friend from Lubbock try it. He's a retired ranch hand who's been using the same small .38 revolver since the Reagan era. He ran 2 mags through the Reflex, stepped back, grinned, and said, "If this thing had a cowboy name, I'd carry it tomorrow." That told me all I needed. Trigger's crisp, sights are ready for glass, recoil snappy, that's for sure. It's a micro, but it runs smooth and clean. No jams and drama. Downsides? 11 rounds, controls are snug, but listen, the Reflex isn't here to play nice with Glock. Also, it's not here to blend in with Glocks, it's here to outperform them. Because in 2025, good enough ain't survival, it's surrender. And the Reflex is here to fight. You ever notice Glock guys get weirdly quiet when you mention the IWI Masada? Well, there's a reason for that. This Israeli-born 9mm pistol was built from the ground up for combat, duty-sized, optics-ready, and deadly consistent, and yet it still costs less than a stripped Glock 19. That's not just competition, that's a takeover. It's got better slide serrations, a factory optics cut that actually fits modern red dots, a trigger that breaks clean, and the grip texture feels like it was designed for someone who actually trains and not just carries. Glock loyalists don't want to admit it, but the Masada beats it on features, on price, and, according to more than a few range rats, on recoil control. And while everyone's still arguing over Gen 5 versus Gen 4, the Masada does its job without any excuses. This is the one gun nobody's hyping online, but once you shoot it, you'll understand why the Glock 19's grip is finally slipping. So now you've seen it. The Glock 19 ain't the only game in town anymore. Some of these 9mm people laughed at are the very ones clearing counters and stealing the spotlight in 2025. Tell me now in the comments, which pistol here earns your respect, and which one do you think has no business outselling a Glock? I'll be there with you, and I don't dodge the hard takes. I'm Steve. Hit that subscribe if you just want the truth and not the sales pitch. Pride fades away, hype dies out, but the pistol that never fails, that one stays. See you in the next one.